Hello everybody, hope you're doing well today. We're going to talk about 1-6 order of operations. Now I know that you've talked about order of operations before, but what I have found with this is everybody always knows what it is, but then when they forget it when they're actually doing problems. So by the end of the day, my goal is to get you to think about the order of operations and be able to use it correctly. So in this table here, this explains the order of operations, so hopefully you're writing this down. And as you can see, there's no vocab words today. I figured your hands were too tired after 1-5 notes, so no vocab in this section, but go ahead and copy down this table for PEMDAS. Hopefully you'll remember that phrase. So the first thing we do is we perform operations inside grouping symbols. Those are called parentheses most of the time. The second thing we do is evaluate powers, which we call exponents. That's what the E stands for. And then we perform multiplication and division, from left to right. It's important to remember that because lots of people think that multiplication comes before division, but the truth is they're kind of grouped together. So when we have multiplication and division, we perform them from left to right. And the same is true for addition and subtraction, the A and the S of PEMDAS. Again, when you have addition and subtraction in a problem, you're going to perform it from left to right. So hopefully you'll remember this acronym from a while ago, that PEMDAS stands for Please Excuse My Dear, and in Illinois we would say aunt, but I know you guys up here say aunt, so please excuse my dear aunt Sally. Will help you remember the order of operations. So P stands for parentheses, E for exponents, M for multiply, D for divide, A for add, S for subtract. Now remember when you write this down that M and D are grouped together and you perform those left to right. And the same is true for add and subtract. They're grouped together, you perform those left to right. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, help you to remember the order of operations. So let's go through a few examples together here. So when I'm given an expression, I want to kind of go through each letter of PEMDAS to look for that. So the first thing is parentheses. In this example I don't have any parentheses. So then I look for exponents. I don't have any of those either. So then we go to multiply and divide, and you can see right here in the middle I have 2 times 3. So I'm going to have to do that first. So that would become 15 minus 6 plus 1. Okay, then I don't have any division, so I look for addition and subtraction. I do have both of those here, and remember those are grouped, so I'm going to do that from left to right. So 15 minus 6 is 9 plus 1, and that equals 10. And notice that if you didn't do it from left to right, you would get a different answer. Okay, if you added first, if you did 6 plus 1, you'd get 7, and then 15 minus 7 is 8. So it is important that you follow the order of operations. Let's look at another one. So again, I'm going to kind of go through my checklist here. We have parentheses, don't see any. Exponents, got one there. So 12 minus 3 squared becomes 9 plus 10 divided by 2. Then I look for multiplication and division. I have division here at the end. So 12 minus 9 plus 5. And then again I have addition and subtraction. So I'm going to do the subtraction first and then the addition because I go from left to right. So 12 minus 9 is 3 plus 5, and then 3 plus 5 equals 8. Let's look at a little more complicated one here. Alright, so you see here I have parentheses and I have brackets. That's another grouping symbol. So I'm going to start inside here with the parentheses. So I have 2.4 plus 4. Just rewrite the rest of the problem. So 3 minus 1.5 is 1.5. Okay, now I want to do what's in the brackets. In the brackets I have exponents, so I need to do those. So 3 squared is 9. Then I have multiplication, so 2 times 1.5 is 3. So then when I go ahead and do again inside the brackets, 9 minus 3 is 6. So then I have 2.4 plus 4 times 6. So I'm going to do the multiplication first. And again, it's important that I do that. This is one of the mistakes that happens a lot. People like to do 2.4 plus 4, and then they times that by 6. You gotta follow order of operations, so multiply first. So 4 times 6 is 24, plus 2.4, so that's 26.4. So as you can see, some of these problems can get kind of long, but it's important that you take it step by step, especially until you get used to using order of operations. Alright, so you may have to write more than you want to, but it'll be important as you get these problems correct. Another type you'll see is where they give you an expression and then a value of the variable. You've seen this a couple times in your homework so far. So all I got to do is plug the value of the variable in. So this would be 10 minus 3 times 6. And then I have to follow the order of operations again. So 3 times 6 is multiplication. I'm going to do that first. So 10 minus 18. And 10 minus 18 is negative 8. And remember, if I didn't know what 10 minus 18 was, I would change it into an addition problem. Add the opposite. Like we learned in section 2, I think. Okay? So remember those rules for adding and subtracting. Here's another one for us. Again, all I have to do is plug in my value into where the x is. So that's going to give me 4 squared times negative 2 plus 3. I want to do parentheses first, so I have 4 squared times negative 2 plus 3 is 1. And then I'm going to do the exponent, so that's 16 times 1, which is just 16. Okay? Now it's important, okay, to remember, what do we got going on here? Oh. Fraction bars, radical symbols, and absolute value symbols are also other types of grouping symbols, okay? They're kind of like parentheses. And in a fraction, okay, when you have a fraction, and I'll show you one here in a second, you want to perform all the operations on the top, all the operations on the bottom, and then once you have the top and bottom simplified completely, then divide. Okay, so let's look at one of those. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of treat the top and bottom separately. So let's look at the top. In the top I have some multiplication, so I've got to do that first. And then I'm going to add, so negative 8 plus 22, that gives me 14. So I know 14 is on the top. Now on the bottom I have an exponent, so I'm going to do that first. 16 minus 9. 16 minus 9 is 7. So then I have the top and bottom simplified. So then all I do is 14 divided by 7, which is 2. So when I have a fraction like that, the division is the last step that I do. Okay, here's an example with absolute value. Now I know that we've covered absolute value a little bit, and I believe you learned about it last year. Remember, absolute value makes numbers positive. It's a number's distance from 0. But they also act as parentheses. So these absolute value signs, that's what these lines are here, are just like parentheses. So I need to do what's in there first. So I got exponent in there. And then I have division. Since I've already done the exponent, I can do the division next. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So then 16 plus 4 is 20. Now the absolute value of 20 is just 20 because it's already positive. So then I have 60. Now notice if that would have been a negative 20, it would have then become a positive 20. And then this is a radical sign. If you'll remember, we talked about radical signs in 1-5, I should say, when we talked about square roots. So underneath the radical sign, I got to do that first. It acts like parentheses as well. So I'm going to do 50 minus 1 first, which is 49. And then I'm going to take the square root of 49, which is 7. And then I'm going to multiply. So my answer to that one would be 21. Okay? So remember, with fraction bars, absolute value, radical signs, they act like grouping symbols. And with fractions, you want to do the top and the bottom separately and then divide at the end. Okay? So that's pretty much what you'll be running into today, is a bunch of, or on your homework tomorrow, I should say, is a bunch of expressions where you'll have to follow PEMDAS. Okay? Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. Have a good rest of the day, and I will see you tomorrow.